are a new mom or a mom of a young child who's finding yourself constantly overwhelmed, frustrated, stressed, and anxious, and you wish you were more calm, confident, and in control, then this video is for you. Because in today's video, I'm going to share with you 7 mental health habits that can lower your risk of postpartum depression and help you feel mentally strong. So stick with me until the very end. I promise these tips can truly change your life. Hey there, this is Grace. Welcome to my channel. Mental health is a topic that's so close to my heart simply because I struggled with mental health, especially when I was pregnant with baby number 2. So I know the struggle, and I also know the importance of taking care of ourselves so we enjoy a good mental health. So in today's video, we are going to talk about what is mental health and why it is so important for a new mother, and the 7 mental health habits that can lower the risk of postpartum depression and help you feel mentally strong. And last but not the least, I would also be sharing with you a mental health checklist so you can go through the list and score yourself. You can see for yourself where you stand with respect to your mental health. Now, before we get started, here is a disclaimer. This video is not medical advice, but practical habits that has helped me with my mental health and also helped many mothers in our community enjoy a good mental health. So with that said, let's begin. So what is mental health? Well, imagine that your laptop that you have is your brain, and your mind, which includes your thoughts, your emotions, your attitude, your beliefs, your values, well, that is the software that your brain is running on. So just like how a software tells the computer how to process the information that comes its way and how to respond based on that information, your mind too, your thoughts, emotions, and your beliefs help you interpret and respond to life situations. So if the software that your laptop is running on is healthy, which means if your mindset is running optimally, you would be able to handle all the stress that comes your way. You would be able to make better choices, solve problems, take care of yourself, and take care of your child. Now, if the software that your laptop is running on has bugs, like has viruses, now what happens? Now your system slows down. There might be glitches. You might not be able to do the tasks that you intend to do. Similarly, if there are viruses, meaning if there are negative thought patterns, if there are negative emotional patterns, or if there are some limiting beliefs that you carry, chances are you might not be able to approach life's challenges the same way. Let me give you a very simple example. Let's say that you have a belief that motherhood is tough. This is a belief that you developed based on what you heard people talking around you. And you're not even aware that you have this belief, but that's the belief that you developed based on your conversation with your parents, with your in-laws, with your friends. Now, let's say that your infant is waking up frequently at night and crying, or let's say that your toddler is throwing tantrums frequently. Now, whatever is happening in the environment is only going to reinstate the belief that you already have that motherhood is challenging. And so how is this going to make you feel? Obviously, you're going to feel stressed, you're going to feel irritated, you're going to feel frustrated. And if there is little or no support, like how I had little or no support, I had to take care of my kids and my business all by myself, it's going to escalate. You are going to feel depressed. You're going to feel extremely impatient and irritated. Now, when you are in that emotional state, how would your action be? The littlest of things can trigger you, and you would end up yelling at your child, your partner, and you would have little energy to take care of yourself, your child, and your work. Now, let's say that you have a belief that motherhood is a blessing, and even though you might not know much, you can always learn. If that is your belief, let's say that your child frequently wakes up and cries, or your toddler is throwing a tantrum, you would approach the same situation with curiosity. You would ask the question, why? Why is my infant waking up frequently and crying? Why is my toddler throwing tantrums frequently? And not only that, you would approach the challenges that you might be experiencing with the attitude to solve the problem. So you might be reaching out to a friend or post a question in a community, and there you go. You would find your answers and solve your problem. And guess what it does to you? It builds your confidence, and it reinstates the belief that, hey, I might not know much, but I can always learn. So the scenario is the same, but what you thought and how you felt and what you did was extremely different. And it's all based on that core belief that you had. So, mental health is nothing but updating and debugging the software that you run on. In other words, keeping a tab of your thoughts, emotions, attitude, beliefs, so you can function efficiently. Now, why is it important for you to be proactive in taking care of your mental health if you are a mother, especially if you are a new mother? You see, the first 3 years in your child's life is so crucial for brain development. And research shows that the first 3 years in a child's life sets the foundation for all future learning, behavior, and health. So, when you are struggling during this crucial phase of your child's life, now tell me, how can you help your child? When you are stressed, when you're overwhelmed, when you are frustrated and you're anxious, you're feeling guilty, you're feeling doubtful during this period, now, how likely would you be present to your child's learning and developmental needs? What would be your level of patience to handle your child's behavior? How playful and how connected would you feel with your child? And according to research, unregulated stress in mother can lead to toxic stress in the child, which can negatively impact brain development. I recently did a video on how to boost your baby's brain development. If you are someone who's an expecting mother or a mother of a child who is under 3 years of age, I highly suggest you watch this video right here. You would find the link to this video somewhere around here or in the description below this video. Having said that, it is important to acknowledge that parenting a young child is so not easy, and that is why especially new mothers are prone to mental health concerns. Why is it? Just like your laptop, when your laptop's security is low, the chances of a virus or a hack are high. Similarly, when you become a new mother, well, you go through so much of hormonal changes. You're sleep deprived, your body is gone through so much and it requires that healing. You go through a lot of lifestyle changes. You might not be able to do those things that you did prior to becoming a mother. And not only that, now you have become food. Like you have to feed on demand, and it is so not easy. And so, with so many changes that's happening in your body, in your relationship, in your lifestyle, the chances of you finding yourself constantly hopeless, feeling irritated, feeling frustrated, feeling sad, feeling anxious, and finding it difficult to bond with a child, feeling that you've lost yourself in the process of becoming a mother. Now, you tell me, these are symptoms of postpartum depression, isn't it? Now, if you have existing challenges, like you already have relationship concerns with your partner, if you have issues at work, if you have financial pressure, it's going to worsen the situation. It's going to worsen how you are feeling and thinking. But here's the good news. If you know how to update the software, if you know how to debug, in other words, when you become a little more aware of how your emotions and thoughts play a huge role in how you feel, especially during this crucial phase of your life, and not only that, but learn simple coping skills that you can integrate into your everyday life, and learning how to reach out for help can make a whole lot of difference in you enjoying an amazing, amazing mental health. Because I strongly feel that you and every mother out there deserves to enjoy their motherhood and life, because this phase of your life comes only once. You get to be a new mother only once, and your child gets to be an infant and a toddler only once. So if you're watching this, I want you to prioritize your mental health, because it can make all the difference in your life and in your child's life. All right, let's talk about the 7 mental health habits that you can practice at home so you can be mentally fit as a mother. Now, with respect to the 7 mental health habits, I have grouped them into 3 groups so it's easy for you to remember and implement. So the first group is what I call the confidence builder. You see, parenting is one of the most important jobs out there because it requires that we raise another human being. But sadly, it is one of the few jobs out there that give you little or no training. So you have to figure it out. So just imagine if you are all by yourself and there is this huge task ahead of you at work and you have to figure it out. Nobody tells you what to do. Don't you think you'll go mad? You will be completely stressed. On the other hand, it doesn't matter how huge the task is, right? If somebody has given you the training, you have that knowledge and the resources and the information needed, don't you think you would be able to handle the task easily and effortlessly with confidence? The same applies with raising a child. When you know why your child is crying frequently at night, when you know how to discipline your toddler, the positive way without yelling and screaming and begging and bribing and reaching out to negative tools. Now, you tell me, won't you be confident and calm? So, if there is one habit that I want you to develop to build confidence as a parent, it is to commit to becoming a lifelong learner because there is so much to learn. So set an intention to create a learning plan, one for your child and one for yourself. Because when you are proactive and intentional in investing your time to learn about how to grow this child, this human being. Now you can save a lot of time at the back end because instead of feeling confused, you will feel confident. Instead of feeling overwhelmed and stressed and guilty and doubtful, wondering whether you're doing the right thing or not, you would do things with calm confidence. So, what would you learn? With respect to your child, learn about feeding because that is a major concern for many mothers. My child is not feeding, my child is feeding constantly. But when you are aware why your child is feeding constantly and how are you contributing to it and what can you do about it, don't you think you would be able to handle things efficiently and confidently? The other thing that you can learn is how can you encourage your child to develop healthy sleeping habits right from the early years? The other thing is how can you help your child with brain development? What can you do to maximize learning and development? And with that, we can help you because we have an amazing, amazing program called Baby Genius. And if you want to learn more about the program, I have linked all the details for you in the description below. I also have a free webinar coming up and you can be a part of it. So please be sure to check the description for my free webinar and for our Baby Genius program. And the other thing that you can include in your learning plan is to understand your child's behavior, especially in this day and age. This is very, very crucial. When you know why your child is throwing a tantrum, when you know why your child is not listening to you, your child is defiant, and what are the tools that you can use to positively discipline your child, get their cooperation, you're more likely to be confident and calm than otherwise. When you don't understand why your child is throwing a tantrum and you have no idea how to get their cooperation, the chances of you reaching out to inefficient parenting tools like yelling, threatening, spanking, and then feeling guilty is extremely high. Now, you tell me, would you feel calm, confident? No, you would feel overwhelmed and anxious and guilty and all of those things. Now, with respect to the learning plan that I want you to have for yourself, there are so many skills that you can learn. And trust me, if you can just learn a few skills out of the many skills that I've listed here, it can make a huge difference in your life. Like, for instance, time management. It's a skill that you can learn. If you don't have that skill, chances are you're more likely to feel overwhelmed. Even the littlest thing can trigger you. But when you know how to manage your time efficiently, how you can plan and prioritize tasks, how you can delegate tasks, how you can set realistic goals, how you can set boundaries for yourself, how you can say no without feeling guilty, and how you can be more intentional in scheduling me time to take care of yourself. Well, these are skills that are learnable. Anyone can learn it. Well, you can pick topics from the list that I've given you and learn for yourself, or go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because I'm planning to do videos on all these topics so it's easy for you to learn and implement. So that is your habit number one. Set aside, say 15-20 minutes every day to learn something new. And don't be random in learning. Be intentional and specific in what you want to learn. What is that skill that you want to learn? What is that topic that you want to learn for this week? And trust me, when you are consistent and intentional in what you want to learn, by the end of 30 days, your confidence would have skyrocketed. And that is why I call this skill or this habit confidence builder. Now let's move on to the next category of habits, something that I call emotional anchors. There are 3 habits that we're going to talk about, but before we talk about those 3 habits, let me talk about emotions first. You see, whether we realize it or not, we are emotional beings. Everything that happens in the outer world triggers an emotion within us, and every emotion triggers a response, an action from us. So emotions play a huge role in how we look at life, how we experience life. You see, a common mistake that most people do is think that they have to wait for something to change in their environment for them to feel happy and good. But the truth is, you have the power to change how you feel no matter what happens in your environment if you develop these habits. So, habit number one is what I call gratitude. You see, when you pause to notice those little blessings in your life, it literally shifts your focus from those aspects in your life that might not be working as you expected. And let me tell you, you cannot practice gratitude and be ungrateful or feel stressed at the same time. So, to practice gratitude, follow this 3 is to 3 is to 3 rule. So, as soon as you wake up, say 3 things that you're grateful for. And in the afternoon, well, say 3 things that you're grateful for. And before you go to bed, say 3 things that you are grateful for. And these 3 things that you say, morning, afternoon, and night, well, they don't have to be big things. They can be those little things, the air you breathe, the smile on your baby's face, your partner helping you, those little things. When you start noticing those little things, you will start noticing more of it. But when you start noticing those negative things, well, it is like this snowball effect. It's going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. And all you would do is notice only negative things in your life. And tell me, how would that make you feel? Terrible, horrible? There is no words to describe how you would feel. Now, the second habit that I want you to develop is be intentional in saying positive affirmations. Again, positive affirmations are not random positive statements that you say, but they are intentional phrases that you say to rewire your brain. You see, according to research, we think close to 65,000 to 70,000 thoughts in a day. And most of the thoughts are repeated and most of the thoughts are negative. And remember, I gave you an example earlier. When you are having negative thoughts, how would you feel? Obviously, you'd feel negative, right? And when you're feeling negative, when you're having those thoughts, how would your action be? Your action would not be positive. It would only be negative. But when you catch this negative thought and be intentional in reframing it, in other words, replacing it with a more empowering thought, now you are going to feel empowered, you're going to feel good, and your actions would be influenced by that. So here is a simple technique that you can start using right from today, and it's called reframing. I want you to take a piece of paper, write down all your negative thoughts that you might be having frequently. And trust me, most thoughts are repeated. So you may have close to like 6 to 8, maximum 10 thoughts that you are thinking on any given day, and you might not be even aware of it. So take a piece of paper, write down those thoughts, and next to those thoughts, I want you to write down a replacement for those negative thoughts. So if you are thinking, my child is giving me a hard time because your child is frequently crying or your toddler is throwing frequent tantrums, I want you to write, my child is not giving me a hard time. My child is having a hard time. And it's my responsibility to help my child through this hard moment. Now, if this is what you are going to intentionally say every time you're feeling agitated and overwhelmed, you tell me how your response would be. Would you have more patience? Won't you be more present with your child? The answer is obviously yes, right? But you cannot choose a replacement for your negative thought when you are in that moment, when you're being triggered. You have to be proactive in choosing those thoughts. What is that you're going to think instead right now when everything is calm in your environment? So do this quick exercise. Again, I would do a whole another video on why positive affirmations are super duper powerful and how to use it the right way. But I want you to do this exercise. So you are not just learning, but you are implementing. Trust me, it makes a huge difference. And I have included, say, 10 positive affirmations for new mothers. So please be sure to check the description below this video. Now, the next habit is being intentional and practicing the coping skill that you want to use. You see, when you're feeling low and you don't know how to make yourself feel better, you're just waiting for things to change in the environment. Honestly, that's not going to happen anytime soon. You would feel terrible and horrible, and that is going to gather up speed. You are going to have the same thoughts, same feelings, and you would stay stuck in the same place. Let me give you an example. Let's say that every time you're feeling overwhelmed, your plan is not to stay in that place, but maybe listen to music or maybe walk out to the patio and stand there taking 3 deep breaths and saying 3 gratitude. Now, you tell me, won't it shift how you're feeling instantly? You are going to feel way better. You are going to look at things from a new perspective. So, it is important that you have a plan. You are proactive in this game. Instead of feeling overwhelmed and then trying to find solutions to the challenges that you might be experiencing. What can you do to feel powerful? What can you do to feel positive? What can you do to feel empowered? So these are the three things that would definitely help you. Again, I'm planning to do a video on this topic. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss out on that video when I upload it. Now let's move on to the last category of habits, something that I call energy boosters. They literally boost your energy and your mood. So the first habit in this category is your sleep habit. It is understood that with little children, you cannot expect to sleep as how you had been sleeping earlier before becoming a mother. But sleep is so important because that's when your body heals, your mind recovers. Your body has gone through so much. You've given birth to a baby. So it's important that you give it some rest to repair itself and rejuvenate. Having said that, let me warn you of a common mistake that mothers, especially new mothers, do. They understand the importance of sleep, but they are very rigid in getting their sleep. In other words, if they did not sleep well, they're like, oh my God, I did not sleep. And so I'm going to be cranky. It is like they've made up the rule in their head. But it is understood that with children, you cannot have a rigid sleep schedule. You have to be flexible. It is okay if you haven't slept much in a given day. You can always compensate. So see what works for you and your child. When your child sleeps, try to get some sleep. You can ask for help. If you have in-laws visiting, your parents visiting, well, you can get them to take care of your child while you sleep. Or like me, if you're all by yourself, well, figure out a way to get you sleep. But that does not necessarily mean that you have to create this rigid rule in your head saying, if I don't sleep, like I'm gone. If you have those rules in your head, well, they are going to control you. Remember, we spoke about beliefs? Well, you are creating a rule, and rules are nothing but beliefs. And if you believe that you need to have your 9 hours of sleep, if not, you are going to be cranky, guess what? You will be cranky. So don't be so rigid in creating the rules. Instead, focus on getting that sleep that your body requires and be flexible. Now, the second thing is music and movement. And I always try to club music with movement. If not, you don't move. If you're like me, you would come up with all sorts of reasons why you cannot move that day. But when you club it with music, I mean, you're more likely to look forward to you moving. It can be a simple walk around the block or you walking at the park with your baby. Because when you move, you're getting more oxygen and you have that energy throughout the day. So make it a point that you move at least for 10-15 minutes a day to begin with. And on days you cannot go out, well, move inside your home. Just turn on that music and dance. It's going to really uplift your mood, your energy, and you're going to feel good overall. Now, the last habit and the most important habit is to have mindful screen time. Please avoid doom scrolling. I mean, as new mother, you're more prone to do that because when you're feeding your baby, now you don't know what to do. So to keep yourself engaged, you keep scrolling random stuff. And guess what it does to you? It makes you feel terrible. It really plays with your head and we're not even aware of it. I have worked with so many mothers in our community who experience so much of depression and anxiety and stress during the early years. And guess what? Most of the things are coming from them using social media and screen mindlessly. And once they realize it and create positive habits around screen, now the rest of their mood, their behavior, their energy, everything shifts. So please don't overlook this. I suggest you put your phone away when you are feeding your baby and instead you engage in a conversation with your child. And trust me, during the first year of your child's life is when language development is at its peak. Take a look at this chart. Before your child could say their first words, language development is at its peak. So the more words they are going to hear, the more likely they are going to make those words a part of their vocabulary. So engage in a conversation with your child. You can listen to music, or if at all you choose to scroll on your phone, be intentional in what you're reading. Maybe you can read about those topics that we spoke about. Remember, your confidence boosters. What topic can you pick for the day and read about it? So be intentional in using screen. Don't be mindless because it can definitely hurt your mental health. And the sad truth is you would not even realize it. So use your screen mindfully. So there you go. Those are the 7 mental health habits that you can start practicing today so you can be proactive in lowering your risk of postpartum depression and feeling mentally strong. So you don't just survive this phase of the journey, but you actually enjoy this phase of the journey together with your child and make lots of happy memories. You feel calm, confident, and in control of the situation. You are more playful, present, and patient with your child. So with that said, we are done with this video. I sincerely hope you found this video useful. As I promised, I have included a mental health checklist for you. So please be sure to check the description below. I have also included some positive affirmations for you that you can use during this phase of your journey. So please be sure to check the description. And as I promised earlier, I would be doing more videos on mental health. So if you haven't subscribed already, consider subscribing. I promise you would find those videos truly, truly life-changing. With that said, I will see you again soon in another video. Till then, take care and bye now.